Om Shri Sai Ram. A warm welcome to all the viewers to the 4th edition of Mano Hridaya Sai, a satsang series live from the Samiti at Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Medical Sciences, Whitefield. Today's speaker is Dr. Kolli S. Chellam, Head of the Department of Anesthesia and Critical Care at the hospital. After specializing in cardiac and neuroanesthesia from NIMS, Hyderabad, Dr. Chellam worked as an anesthetist in hospitals in India and abroad. Bhagwan blessed him with an opportunity to serve as an honorary visiting consultant at Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Medical Sciences, Prashantigram, between 1997 and 2007. Subsequently, he was blessed with the opportunity to serve as a full-time staff at the Whitefield Hospital since 2007. With over 3 decades in Bhagwan's fold, Dr. Chellam has been an active member of Sri Satya Sai organization in India and abroad. He served as the regional coordinator and subsequently as the chairman of Sri Satya Sai Seva Organization, Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, between 1997 and 2007. Currently, Dr. Chellam heads the Departments of Anesthesia and Critical Care and Emergency Services and is also the principal of the College of Allied Health Sciences, Anesthesia Technology. Let's listen in to the experiences of Dr. Chellam with Bhagwan. Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. I offer my most humble salutations at the lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagwan, Sri Satya Sai Baba. I thank the Mano Hridaya Sai team for launching the satsang series in the month of May and being continued on Thursdays, every Thursday, after Thursday. Month of May and Thursdays will remind and reflect us the various glorious movements that have taken place in Sri Satya Sai Avatarhood. On 23rd May 1940 happens to be a Thursday, the first time Bhagavan revealed that he was Sai Baba to his father, who was very much disturbed and angry and armed with a stick. The subsequent week, that is 30th May, again in the 1940, happens to be Thursday. Swami, to prove, given evidence of proof, Swami had picked up a handful of jasmine flowers and flung them on the floor. The jasmine flowers arranged themselves to read, I am Sai Baba, Nenu Sai Baba in Telugu script. So it was very auspicious for Mano Hridaya Sai to start these satsangs in the month of May on Thursdays. Any spiritual retreat on satsang is an invitation for recharging, with spiritual awakening. Our satsangs are no way different. I am very thankful to the entire team of Mano Hridaya Sai to make me part of it, of the 4th Mano Hridaya Sai series. In this episode, I would like to share my reminiscences, his calling, in terms of 3 reminders to me. Secondly, I spent a day in Prashantinilayam as a casual visitor. Thirdly, is divine encounters through darshan, parshan and sambhashan. For any Sai spiritual seeker, as I envisage, has to pass through 4 phases: chamatkar, samskar, paropkar, sakshatkar. They are nothing but these 4 rungs of a spiritual ladder. Chamatkar, the supernatural, superhuman powers, the miracles will attract the devotees. As they are into this phase of chamatkar, the faith starts concretizing. With the faith will lead to them a regulation of our ahara, vihara, vyavahara, the food habits, the recreational activities and other social activities. As the spiritual seekers on the path, they will realize the Bhagavan's dictum or the prescription, Paropakarabdham idam sariram. Service, the seva, paropakar, is supposed to be the most highest mode of spiritual worship. Then they will remember to discriminate on the screen of truth what we do, what we think, what we go about. Is it going to please Bhagavan? Let's do it. If it doesn't please Bhagavan, discard it. That discrimination takes to them to develop self-confidence, self-satisfaction, self-sacrifice and ultimately self-realization. That's the life. My journey, as it is the Bhagavan's calling, Bhagavan has got his own divine computer. He knows when to call, when to pull the strings, that he is aware, he does it at the right time, right moment. I went on a overseas assignment to a border neighboring UAE. I was posted there. There was a lot of vegetation, greenery, pastures stretching to the miles. I was taking a morning walk. Suddenly I saw to my left-hand side, right-hand side, there's one local person, Shia person. It's somewhere in late 80s. He just came up to me and spoke in Persian language. By then I was understanding and speaking a little bit of Persian language too. He said, "Are you Indian?" Yes, of course, I am 100% Indian. Then after the pass of few seconds, he posed the second question, "Do you know Sai Baba?" This I was not knowing even 0.001%. So I kept quiet. Then with an astounding voice and in an erect posture, he was very muscular and very tall, said, "Better, no, verily Sai Baba is God." So he went to the other direction, not to take any chance to interrogate or talk to him and prolong the conversation. I went in the other direction. This particular incident placed a very indelible impact on my mind. I am in a foreign country. The person who has come is a foreigner, that to belong to the different sort of a religion. And he is telling Sai Baba is God. So this I take it as the first reminder from Swami that I have to go and see him. Years rolled by. It was the time for me to leave that country. The university hospital has told us, please pack up and go. There are about 10 expatriate families. We are all packing up. One evening we all joined in a congregation saying goodbye to each other. And a Pakistani family was going to London, the Bihari family is going to Patna, the Bangladesh family is going to Dhaka, and the Kashmiri families, they can't go to Kashmir, they are going to Delhi. And it was my turn. Then I asked me, where are you going back? instead of telling me that I'll go back to Nizam's Institute, Hyderabad, suddenly to my great surprise, I said, I will be working in Sai Baba hospitals, my children will be studying in Sai Baba schools. After I spoke this, it's like words of prophecy. How did I speak? I don't know anything about the Swami running schools, colleges and hospitals without any knowledge. How did it come? This I took it as the second reminder from Sai. Later, I've taken up another foreign assignment. My employment was going on, the processing was going on. Along with me, there is another professor of cardiology from Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute. He is also attending with me various interviews and then getting his employment, getting processed. He was describing the various interviews he was attending in India. I heard him saying, I just cannot imagine such a hospital is existing in India. That attracted my attention. I just went close to me. What is that you are saying? Which is that hospital which is existing, which is beyond your imagination? I said, this is a Puttaparthi. There's a hospital in Puttaparthi, Sai Baba is running. Oh my God. This Puttaparthi thing is ringing in my ears again and again, perpetually. I joined the hospital. I came across two cardiac anesthesiologists, came from All India Institute of Medical Sciences. They were employed, spending their sabbatical leave. During our conversation in the tea room, coffee room, they shared with me, see, we went to India, we went to Andhra Pradesh. There's a hospital, a charitable hospital. We are the first anesthesiologists on part of the AIMS team. We gave anesthesia to the first few cases in 1991, November 22nd. In all the 4 cases, there were no complications. And Bhagavan announced this one a year later on 22nd November 1991, cases will be done. There were no complications at all in all the 4 cases. And subsequently in the whole entire month, 30 days, all the cases they were done, there were no mortality. So I was hearing all these things. My anxiety, interest to go to Puttaparthi has increased leaps and bounds. I planned an early trip to India and I landed on a set date in the Prasanthi Nilayam. By the time I reached Prasanthi Nilayam, it was 11 p.m. I was ushered into a room already occupied by a homeopathy doctor who was there inside. And we got introduced to each other. He was asking, how long you have been coming here? I said, this is the very first visit. I do not know ABC of anything about Puttaparthi or Prasanthi Nilayam. He said, he was there in that room for the last 1 week. Only that morning only Bhagavan received his letter. So then I asked him, does it take an average of 6 days for you to hand over the letter to Bhagavan? He said, no, sometimes it may take even months, years, and he may not accept letters. Oh, that surprised me. Then he said, I must tell you everything about it, Prasanthi Nilayam, because our family has been coming for the many decades to Prasanthi Nilayam. Okay, please tell me, because I am a stranger. Good guide is there. He is revealing everything about the rules and regulations there. He asked me, you are from Abu Dhabi. Would you like to go from here to Abu Dhabi? I said, I don't expect such facility here. I have my return ticket. I don't want to go from here to Abu Dhabi. Then he went on describing, there is an Australian devotees. There are 6 in November. Bhagavan selected them for interview. They went to the interview room, and on the usual conversation, Swami asked one person, out of the 6, why did you come here? Your mother is sick. She is asking for you. You go now. He said, if you want to go now, I'll send you now. Then the Australian devotee said, Swami, I am praying for your grace. Then Swami, with his wave of his hand, he created a world map. Then asked the devotee, please show me where is Australia. The devotee showed Australia. The world map converted into Australian map. Then Swami asked, which state you belong to Australia? He said, New South Wales. Swami touched that New South Wales. The world map became the New South Wales map. Then Swami asked the devotee, where is your house? Which town? You showed the town and the house, apartments. Swami touched that. Then it became his house, his apartments building. And Swami spread that map on the interview room wall. And then Swami just touched his house, this main gate. The gate opened through the walls of the interview room. Then Swami called this Australian, now you go into your house. Your mother is sleeping there in the sofa room. And after he went from the interview room, he went to Australia. And Swami rubbed with his hands the map. The map again became wall of the interview room. So this surprised me. This was the very first miracle for me. I was with a lot of enthusiasm. I was telling, please tell me some more. Then he told me the story of Mr. Raja Reddy. Mr. Raja Reddy was a long-time devotee. He used to sleep in the first floor Prasanthanilayam near Swami's room. One day in the middle of the night he got up. He saw there's a lot of illumination coming from the Swami's room. He drew very close. He just peeped to the partially open doors of Swami. What did he see? Swami was reclining on Adisesha, a live divine serpent. And there are celestial beings taking homage, and turn by turn Swami is graciously granting them. And there were 7 fires which are burning around Swami's room, Swami's bed. This scene startled Raja Reddy. Then he closed the door. He came to his bed. He could not sleep any further. The next day morning, Raja Reddy revealed this heavenly experience to Swami. Swami told, they are the celestial beings. They have come for my darshan. Those 7 fires which are burning around my bed, there are the Saptarishis, great 7 sages. You were saved by my blessings, that's why you are alive. Otherwise you would have been reduced to Buddha ashes on keeping your eyes on that particular scene. So I become some more enthusiastic. I said, okay, let's have the satsang, the whole night long satsang, so we can sleep any day, no problem. So I asked him to tell me some more. Then he said, you know, the Raja of Venkatagiri, he was granted Lord Rama vision in his puja room. Then John Hislop saw Lord Krishna in the same car when John Hislop was traveling with Swami. Then he started describing the Chitravati sands miracles. The Kuppam devotees used to go in 20-30 numbers to Chitravati in the evenings. Swami has given Trinayatra Darshan. He showed me how Swami opened the forehead when Swami went to that hill, the big hill on Chitravati banks, and the forehead opened. They saw the third eye of Lord Shiva. And in the same sitting, Swami also showed the sun, S-U-N, sun of the sunset. And it was so scorching heat that devotees have prayed to Swami, Swami, please stop it. Then he said, Swami showed the Chandra Darshan, the moon, and it was so much cold immediately after the next moment, and so they prayed to stop the moon Chandra Darshan also. One day to the Kuppam devotees and other devotees, Swami said, today the Gangama, the river Ganges from Himalayas is coming to Puttaparthi. Then all these ladies, they put their saris, hide their faces and just smile. Where is Puttaparthi? Where is river Ganges? But the river Ganges came with all the torrential flows to Patti, and Swami made all these devotees to offer flowers and kumkum and turmeric to that. After that, my co-pilgrim, my roommate, how homeopathy doctor did not stop. He said, I'll tell you some more, the Lazarus phenomena, resurrections. You know, Swami, the Walter Cowan, an American devotee, came to Chennai. He died in Madras, was taken to hospital, declared dead. After some time, Swami went and got him back to life. And he described other famous one, Radha Krishnaya, who died in Prashantanilayam. The body was left by Mrs. Radha Krishna waiting for Swami's instruction. It was about third or fourth day. Naturally, the dead body is decomposed, started giving smell. Then Swami entered their room, revived Radha Krishna back to life. After these, he said some more resurrections are there. Then he went on to say, you know, Swami also, not only does this, Swami sometimes call people who are dead and gone many years ago by their name. They come and then give darshan. They come and then they appear before Swami and then speak to their family members. And he gave examples. Nagaratnama, the Raja's mother of Venkatgiri, she came on the call of Swami. She stayed with the family members for 15 minutes. A similar incident of Rama Brahman's second son was also expired in Guntur. Cremation was done. Swami called him, the Mr. and Mrs. Rama Brahman in Vrindavan, and then they called his dead son, who is dead and gone. And the Mrs. Rama Brahman was very much convinced, spoke to him, and on the command of Bhagavan, after 15 minutes, he went back. He also went on, my homeopath colleague, co-pilgrim, he said, I'll tell you some more. In the same similar time and day, Swami, he gives darshan in many places. He may be in Puttaparthi, but he gave darshan in other places, even foreign countries also. He has brought about miraculous cures of the most disseminated cancers, irreversible diseases like patients who are paralyzed, confined to chair. Swami made them walk. Not only that, to every devotee whoever comes, Swami knows the past, present and future. So with this, we hardly had any rest during that night. The next day morning, about 3 a.m., we got up. After completing our morning ablutions, we are proceeding to Sai Kulwant Hall to see this mysterious being. I had the narration about the divine visions. I had the narration about the resurrections. I've got the narration about Bhagavan, who has control on the 9 planets and 5 elements, Panchamahabhutas, and his miraculous cures and his omnipresence. Then I asked this homeopathy doctor, shall I take a VIP ticket? Because a person of this stature, because I was well off, I came from overseas, so can I buy a VIP ticket? He said, no, it's free. So then where is the hundi? I can put a lot of money into the collection box. I said, there is no collection box. So what about offerings? They said no offerings are allowed even. If you want to bring a flowers or coconut up to that main gate, that Ganesha only, nothing beyond that. Okay, this is very interesting. Then we both went and then seated in the first line for the darshan. And again, I'm like a doubting Thomas. I asked him whether we have to get up and go in line to see this phenomena. He said no. He will move among the crowds. I said there are thousands and thousands of people. Yes, he will come and move among the crowds. He will offer a word of caution, a word of grace to somebody, or he will speak reassuringly to somebody, or he will gently smile, or he will pat somebody, or if there are any fortunate few, he will offer Pada Namaskar, salutations to his lotus feet. Exactly, Swami came with a very captivating look. He was gliding before us. Whatever the homeopath, my co-pilgrim described, all happened before us. Then we went back. We had sumptuous lunch because there is a foreign canteen, there is a North Indian canteen, there is a South Indian canteen, starting from the intercontinental right up to the Telugu meal is available. Said if you want to have meal, you can have a full meal for 2 rupees. But this is another amazing thing for me. We came for the evening darshan. Exactly 2:45 Bhagavan came. After doing a brief darshan, he was seated outside in his throne. He beckoned 2 schoolboys, 10th class and 11th class boys. Come and speak. Each one is given about 15 minutes. They both spoke extempore, quoting various verses from Vedic literature. I said, schoolboys can also speak about spirituality. This is something very out of world experience for me. Then Bhagavan rose. He spoke for 1 hour, regaling the audience in his characteristic eloquence, lucidity and exquisite humor. He spoke in Telugu. There was a Cambridge type of English translation. I was very impressed. In between, Bhagavan used to give appropriate right English word to the translator. That again surprised me. He knows the best English, but why he has got a translator next to him? Then Bhagavan finished his divine discourse. We went to our room. It was the time for me to go back to Hyderabad. I was seated in my bus. So I was ruminating the entire out of the world mystifying experience, 1 day stay in Prasanthi Nilayam as a casual visitor. 2 things have come up in my mind as take-home messages. Number 1, see, money has no value. Once money is subserved, the basic amenities, roti, kapada or makan, the shelter, food and clothing to the human, any amount of wealth you earn or accumulate is not going to help you in any way. Rather, it will take off your peace. That was one thing which struck to my mind. Secondly, I thought the seva, the selfless service, is going to be the highest mode of worship. What is the use somebody sitting in the prayer room and chanting mantras, mind is roaming around without a ticket all around? It's just a time waste. Bhagavan spoke in that. And Bhagavan also spoke during his divine discourse a few paraphrases in English. Not only he was speaking the entire divine discourses in Telugu, in between he is giving some paraphrases. I quote. He said, when there is righteousness in the heart, there is beauty in the character. When there is beauty in the character, there is a harmony in the home. When there is harmony in the home, there is a order in the nation. When there is order in the nation, there is peace in the world. So he is connecting from the individual transformation to world's peace. So these are the things which I am ruminating while I was going to Hyderabad in the bus. Since the seva, which is the one which is the highest mode of worship, I thought in some measure I must associate myself in the seva activities which Bhagavan has been launching. Social care, Medicare and Educare. Since I am a medical personnel, I can join his Medicare projects. Then I wrote to the director. They granted me to come as a honorary to the Prasanthi Nilayam hospitals. On that given day, I came. So I was taken to the hospital and Dr. Safaya took me in his car. There was no anesthesiologist. He said, "You are a God-given gift to us." So I walked in that. One of those 2 weeks' time, Bhagavan also scheduled his visit to the hospital. At that time, I was kept in the urology ward. I was in the greens. Swami came into the room. S.P. Chavan also accompanied. Professor Bhatt and Dr. Safaya, we all 4 or 5 people are there in that room. Professor Bhatt and Dr. Safaya, one after the other, they introduced me to Bhagavan. I folded my hands. Swami came very close to me. Santosham, Santosham. Happy and happy. He just held my folded hands, a gentle squeeze, and then left. Once he has given that squeeze, I felt as if all my weight is drained off. I'm not feeling any weight. I'm floating in air. I was weighing as much as a pigeon. So then the Swami went off. The people in the OT are coming. Sir, please come and start the second case. No, please wait. I got myself induced. I'm in that euphoric. So it lasted about 90 minutes. So after the duty hours in the evening at 5 p.m. I went to the veranda. I was seated there. Swami swiftly came from his interview room outside. And then he came to me and then spoke to me. Are you anesthesiologist? Normally anesthesiologist, very few people pronounce properly. Swami said, are you anesthesiologist? In English, he spoke. I will speak to you tomorrow morning. So the next day morning, lot of people went in. So many activities are going. Swami is coming out, going inside interview room, and hundreds of clothes have been distributed. 2,000 savadals were granted. Pada Namaskar. I thought Swami forgot it. It's already past 8:30 a.m. Suddenly one look of concern at me. Ayyo Papa, oh, you are waiting. Swami went inside the interview room. Hey doctor, please come in. He beckoned me and saying in English. So I went inside. And then he bolted the room. So I knelt on my knees. I don't know where I was. Only thing I know, I'm there before Bhagavan. Then Swami started like a tape recorder, switched on, telling past, present and future continuously without any interruption. And also he is not staying still. So he moved his hand in a circular fashion and produced lot of vibhuti and put it in my right palm. I don't know what to do. And rather I don't have energy to take the necessary action. Then he himself went up to the window, brought a paper and transferred the vibhuti from my right palm to the left into the paper. He folded and put the packet into my pocket. Yes, still I am like that only. Then he asked me, show me your two hands. There was a ring here, old ring, which I got it made. He pulled it. And he kept it in his left hand. And right hand waved it and he produced another 9 gems ring and he placed it. And the ring which was my own ring, which was staying in his left palm, so he put it onto my left ring finger. After telling all these things of 3-4 minutes, then I regained my sense and my speech. Then I remembered my family, wife and children, they are waiting outside. Then I informed Swami, they are waiting outside. Oh, they are here, they are here, please call. So I called them. We came inside. Swami as ideal host stood at the entrance of the interview room, receiving one by one, asking sons their name, and they are all in school. Asking somebody should do medicine, somebody should do engineering. There and then he was telling, and he bolted the door, materialized vibhuti, gave to everybody, make them eat. And his interaction with the family is like head of the family. After a long time we are meeting together. And the children and Bhagavan, they were talking as if they know each other for many decades. And they were very busily speaking. When they are talking, Swami in between showing his omniscience, omnipotence. Yes, earlier to one of my sons he said, earlier you are studying well, of late you are not studying, you are playing with computers. Oh my God. See, he was taken aback. How did Bhagavan know all these things? And in between Bhagavan got up went up to the regulator of the fan and put it to 4, maximum speed. You know, you are living AC rooms, here it is very hot, and they came. Even till today, this gesture of Bhagavan, they remember. They are married and working elsewhere. I was involuntarily, I drew myself very close to Bhagavan and then held his feet and started pressing. I didn't know when we are with Bhagavan, we have to do the Padaseva. I have no idea at all, but it happened involuntarily. The idea came, the thought came through me. I went close and started pressing his feet. And I was not able to speak in full aphasia. After some time, I realized that I can speak. Then I asked a few spiritual questions. He told what to do, what not to do. And the interview lasted for about 25 minutes. All 25 minutes I was pressing his feet. He didn't say anything. At the end, when we are about to go, he gives the spiritual matters and seva activities. I brought with me, we conceived a mandir plan, temple plan. We wanted to build the temple in our village. That it's about 13 to 15 inches engineering architectural model. I pulled it. Swami just snatched it, caught that one as if he is waiting for it and kept in the interview room. He did not give it to me back again. And after that, he said, okay, now you take Padanamskar. So that means that's the end of the interview. At the end, I remembered one more important question for career option for me. By then, I finished my ECFMG, USMLE. I was ready with my appointment letters in Louisiana University, University of Houston. There are many offers. I have to go back to USA. In fact, one of the letter from Jacksonville Hospital is there with me in my file. Swami, shall I go to America? Very slowly I said. Swami became very straight. I said, America is not for you. America is not for you. There and then I decided I should not go to America at all. The interview lasted. We went back, and after that Bhagavan blessed me. Bhagavan blessed me to continue come as honorary to Prashant Nilayam Hospital for 10 long years. When I was serving there, some of the doctors' colleagues, they used to say, this man will come like that, come and go like this. One day he will resign and then come as permanent. And Dr. Gandikot Subbarao used to say, there's a hospital coming up in Whitefield. Swami is building the hospital. Why don't you join? I used to laugh inside. I'm in a gold mine. A fattest salary with lot of 5-star facilities. Why should I leave and come? It did happen. One day, Thursday, at the end of the bhajan, I thought better to write a letter to Whitefield Hospital to send the whether I have any opening. One Thursday, I sent an email. The next Thursday came appointment letter, no interview, nothing. So when Swami's blessings are there, it's going to be like, instantaneous. It happens. Here, I'm here for the last 13 years. It is grace, His undiluted grace, keeping me here. Every day I come to the hospital, I'll see is a bonus, a new day for me. And it is Swami's grace is being continued with altogether unflinching faith. We were developing later on. We have become Swamis completely. Whatever Swami says will carry on in the house. And one more miracle which happened during the interview times, I forgot to tell. When my children have told that Swami, please come to our home in Abu Dhabi. Swami said, okay, alage vastanu, I'll come. Then after that, Swami said, I'm there in your house. Those are the things are there in your drawing room. This is there in all those things and all that. Amma has giving Naivedyam every day. She gave me drumstick sambar, she gave me rice, but she forgot to put the pickle. I'll come next time, so you must put pickle for me. Swami is fixing his menu for his Naivedya. Like an unseen guest at every meal, a silent listener in every conversation. And till today, whenever we put Naivedyam here, we make it a point that the pickle has to be put. So Bhagavan's words are part of our living. In conclusion, I believe that the Swami's grace is proportional to the degree of one's own faith. Swami's God's grace is like the sunlight which falls on everybody, whether animate or inanimate. It is for the recipient how to put it to the best use. For example, the knife in a cook used for cutting vegetables, the knife in a thief used for threatening people and for robbery, and the same knife in the surgeon's hand carrying the surgical operations. Simply voicing Swami's teachings is of no use. I feel that keep Swami's teachings in our day-to-day life and make our lives as Bhagavan's message. Thank you. Jai Sai Ram.
Embodiments of
గురు
love.
పూర్ణిమ అంటారు.
It is called Guru Purnima.
పూర్ణిమ అనగా ఏంటి? ఫుల్ మూన్ డే.
Purnima refers to a full moon day.
ఏ దినము? గురు పూర్ణిమ.
This is Guru Purnima.
గురువు యొక్క పూర్ణిమ ఏంటిది?
It is a fullness related to the Guru.
గురువు అంటే ఎవరు?
Who is Guru?
కానీ ఈనాటి గురువు కాదు.
Not like the Gurus of today.
చెవులో మంత్రాలు చెప్తాము, చేతిలో డబ్బులు తీసుకోవటం, ఇదే గురుత్వము.
Whispering a mantra in the ear and taking money from the hand. Is this the trait of a Guru?
ఇది కాదు గురుత్వము.
This is not the quality of the Guru.
గుకారో గుణాతీత, గుకార రూపవర్జిత. రూపవర్జితమైన గుణాతీతమైనటువంటి తత్వాన్ని మొట్టమొదటి గురువుగా మనం భావించుకోవాలి.
Attributeless and formless. Such a principle alone is the Guru.
కనుకనే ఈ గుణాతీతమైన తత్వాన్ని మనం గుర్తించడానికే ఈ గురుత్వం మనకు అత్యవసరము.
It is to recognize the attributeless one that we need the Guru principle.
అలాంటి గురువు చిక్కటం చాలా కష్టం కనుకొని దైవమునే గురువుగా తీసుకుందాం.
It is difficult to get such a Guru, so take divine as the Guru.
అందుకోసమే ఆనాటి వేద శాస్త్ర ఇతిహాస పురాణం యందు శంకరులు వారు చెప్పారు, గురు బ్రహ్మ, గురు విష్ణు, గురుదేవో మహేశ్వర, గురు సాక్షాత్ పరబ్రహ్మ, తస్మై శ్రీ గురవే నమః. గురువే నాకు సర్వము.
As Shankaracharya said, Guru is everything for me.
మనకు కోపం వస్తుంది,
We get angry.
ఈర్ష్య వచ్చేస్తుంది.
We get jealous.
ఇలాంటి వచ్చినప్పుడు మనం ఏం చేయాలి?
What should we do then?
కోపం వచ్చినప్పుడు ఈ కోపాలు విజృంభింప చేయకూడదు.
Do not exhibit your anger.
దాన్ని అరికట్టడానికి ప్రయత్నించాలి.
Control it.
ఈ కోపం నా చెడ్డ కోసం వస్తున్నాయి.
This anger will do only harm.
ఇది నా చెడ్డ క్వాలిటీ.
This is my bad quality.
ఈ యొక్క చెడ్డ పనులు చేస్తుంది.
It makes me do bad
అది ఒక
actions.
చెంద చల్లటి నీళ్లు త్రాగేసి
Drink a glass of cool water.
కూర్చో ఒక చోట,
Sit in one place.
ఏదైనా ఒక నామాన్ని స్మరించు.
Keep contemplating on God's name.
కొంతసేపటికి అది తగ్గిపోతుంది.
In a little time, the anger will reduce.
లేక నీ కోపం ఇంకా మరింత అధికంగా అయిపోతే ఏకాంతమైనటువంటి ఒక ప్రదేశానికి వెళ్ళు.
If your anger is great, go to a peaceful place of solitude.
ఒక అర్థమైన చక్కగా స్పీడ్గా నడుచు.
Walk briskly for about half a
ఈ
mile.
కోపం తగ్గిపోతుంది.
The anger will reduce.
మనం చేసేదంతా తప్పులే,
Whatever we are doing are all mistakes.
కానీ తప్పును క్షమించమని మనం కోరుకుంటున్నాం. మరి
But we seek forgiveness.
ఈ తప్పును క్షమించమనే కోరకూడదు.
One should never desire forgiveness.
తప్పులకు తగినటువంటి శిక్షను అనుభవించాలని
One
కోరాలి.
should desire the suitable punishment for the mistakes done.
అప్పుడే ఈ దోషం మనకు నివారణ అవుతుంది.
Then alone we will be freed of the mistake.
ఎవరైనా తప్పని చేస్తే వాళ్ళు జైల్లో ఉండబెడతారు.
If anyone commits a mistake, he is imprisoned.
ఈ తప్పు యొక్క ఫలితమును అనుభవించే నిమిత్తమై ఈ జైలు శిక్షని
It is only
అనుభవిస్తున్నారు.
to atone for the mistakes that one gets punishment in
ఆ
jail.
శిక్షణ పూర్తి కాగానే తనను విడిచిపెడుతున్నారు.
Once the punishment is complete, the person is released.
అదే విధంగా మన దోషమును పరిహారం గావించుకున్నప్పుడు మనము విడుదలైపోతాం.
In the same manner, when we atone for our mistakes, we are free.
మంది భావిస్తుంటారు,
Many think
కోరికలు నెరవేరినప్పుడు నాకు చాలా ఆనందం వస్తుంది అంటారు.
that they are happy when the desires are fulfilled.
కోరికలు నెరవేరినప్పుడు కాదు ఆనందము,
You will not be happy by satisfying your desires.
కోరికలను అరికట్టినప్పుడే మనకు ఆనందం చిక్కుతుండాలి.
You will be happy only when you control your desires.
శాంతి నహి హరి భజన బినా సుఖ శాంతి నహి. హరి నామ బినా ఆనంద నహి. హరి నామ బినా ఆనంద నహి. హరి భజన బినా శాంతి నహి. जप ध्यान बिना योग नहीं. जप प्रभु दर्श बिना प्रज्ञान नहीं. दया धर्म बिना सत्धर्म नहीं. भगवान बिना कोई अपना नहीं. हरि नाम बिना परमात्मा नहीं. हरि नाम बिना परमात्मा नहीं. हरि भजन
हरि भजन बिना शांति नहीं.
हरि भजन बिना शांति नहीं.
हरि भजन बिना शांति नहीं.
हरि भजन बिना
हरि भजन बिना शांति नहीं.
हरि
भजन बिना शांति नहीं. हरि भजन बिना शांति नहीं. हरि भजन बिना शांति नहीं. हरि भजन बिना शांति नहीं. हरि भजन बिना शांति नहीं. हरि भजन बिना शांति नहीं. हरि भजन बिना शांति नहीं.
हरि नाम बिना आनंद नहीं. हरि भजन बिना
सुख शांति नहीं.
सुख
शांति नहीं.
सुख